You're listening to How to Drink Less, and I'm your host, Adriana Cloud. Whether your goal is to cut back, take a break, or say goodbye to alcohol for good, this podcast will help you stop drinking on autopilot, learn how to manage cravings, and feel fully in control around alcohol. It's easier than you think. Listen on to find out how. Hey everyone, welcome back to How to Drink Less. Today we are talking about something that comes up a lot in conversations with clients, and it's a question that I sometimes hear from people when I tell them that I don't drink, and that is, how do you have fun without alcohol? And I'll admit, for a long time, I thought that it would be impossible. I genuinely believed that alcohol was what made things fun. I thought that it helped me to loosen up, and it made boring things bearable, and it made boring people bearable, and it generally added color and sparks and excitement to otherwise dull situations and activities. So when I contemplated life without drinking, I legit thought that I would be missing out on all the fun. And I had resigned myself to that idea. When I came to the realization that I had to quit drinking, if the price to pay was to have a dull, boring life, then I was ready to settle and have a dull, boring life. But thankfully, I was very wrong, and my fear that I would forever be destined to feel miserable while everyone else around me enjoyed themselves, it has not panned out. Because here's what I've come to realize. Alcohol doesn't create fun. Alcohol, at best, just masks whatever is getting in the way of you having fun. Let me explain what I mean. If you're feeling anxious or self-conscious and you don't know what to say, and that's what's making it hard for you to enjoy yourself in a particular situation, alcohol can mask those feelings. Alcohol depresses the central nervous system, particularly the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that handles rational thought and judgment. So when you drink, your ability to assess risks and consequences goes down, which means that you're less worried about what other people might think of you or how you look and so on. So you tend to act more impulsively, which can be interpreted as having more fun. But while alcohol might make you more talkative than you are when you're sober, that's not the same thing as feeling actual confidence to express yourself. Drinking doesn't teach you how to tell a joke. It's not helping you to be articulate. Alcohol might be suppressing your shyness, and it might make you less likely to keep your voice down, but it's not really making you more interesting or more eloquent or more fun. Alcohol is simply numbing your inhibitions. So, this is a good question to start asking yourself. What is alcohol helping me numb or suppress? Because the answer to that question is what is standing between you and real fun. Maybe you're not having fun because you're with people whose company you don't genuinely enjoy, or because you're feeling self-conscious or like you don't belong. Or maybe it's because what you're doing just isn't that fun to begin with, and alcohol is simply helping you to tolerate it. So the reframe I want to offer is this. If alcohol is required in order to enjoy something, maybe you don't actually enjoy doing that thing. And if that's true, then what would it mean to stop doing things that you don't actually enjoy? When I was still drinking, I used to spend hours at the pub drinking and talking with my friends about nothing important. And looking back, I can see that I was often just bored. At the time, I didn't think of it in that way. I just thought, well, this is what we do. We stay in the pub and we drink. And I drank to make it more tolerable. But why did I feel like I had to stay out the whole evening until last call? Why didn't I just leave when I got bored? Why did I stay and keep drinking? This is a good thing to look at in your own life. If you're finding it difficult to have fun when you're not drinking, ask yourself what actually feels enjoyable to you without needing to add anything on top of it. Because if an experience is truly fun in and of itself, like let's say you love bowling and so you're out bowling, or you're dancing to music you love, or doing anything else that genuinely lights you up, then alcohol isn't the thing making it fun. The fun is already there in the activity or the setting or the company. The fun is not in the drink. And this is a good place to take a step back and really ask yourself, what does fun even mean? Because we talk about fun like it's a universal category that we all can agree on, but it's really not. What's fun for one person might be absolute torture for someone else. Some people love escape rooms. I would find that super stressful, actually, and annoying. Some people think that karaoke is a blast, and others would rather run through the street naked than sing in public. I love jigsaw puzzles. I think it's so satisfying to find the right piece and slowly bring a picture to life. So to me, a puzzle and a good podcast is a great night. But I know many people would find that profoundly boring, just as I would find it profoundly boring to watch golf or to play golf, for example. So, what does fun mean to you? Not what other people think should be fun, not what you tolerate while drinking, not what's expected in your social circle. What does genuinely light you up? Because chances are, if you're honest with yourself, your definition of fun might look really different from what you were taught to think of as fun. And that's especially true if alcohol is out of the picture. Another practical thing to look at is whether alcohol has been the main event or simply an accompaniment to something else. For a long time, drinking was the activity for me and my friends. The whole point of getting together was to drink. So, of course, it then felt kind of weird to see my friends when I was sober because I was no longer participating in the main activity we did together. So now, when I go out with people, I prefer to go out and actually do something, even if it's just something like going out for food or going to see an art exhibit. I want socializing to be about the experience and not about the drinking. Or if I do meet people just for drinks, then I usually end up leaving after an hour or two because after that, I'm bored. So start noticing if drinking has been the main event in your social circle and ask yourself, what else could we try instead? And that brings me to my next point, which is that you don't need to be having fun all the time. I know it's a wild concept, but bear with me. We live in a culture that's obsessed with optimizing every experience. Everything has to be beautiful and transformational and radically nourishing and healing and aligned with your energy or whatever. If it's not fun and if it's not Instagrammable, it's not worth doing. If it's not a 10 out of 10, it must be broken. Those are the unrealistic expectations that are being shoved down our throats by the wellness industry and by capitalism. And that's just not how life works. There are moments that are fun and moments that are not fun. Sometimes you're energized and sometimes you're bored or annoyed. Sometimes an experience is magical and sometimes it's just meh, forgettable, mediocre, not worth writing home about or Instagramming about. But guess what? That's perfectly okay. All of that is normal. That's real life. It's okay to be bored sometimes. And in fact, boredom might actually be useful because it has something to teach us. It shows us what's missing. It helps us to notice what we crave. And it gives us a chance to get creative again and let our imaginations unfold instead of defaulting to what we've always done. And I want to point out here that Your capacity to create your own fun is a skill, and you can strengthen it. When you always rely on something external to make things fun, whether that's alcohol or the people you're with or the environment, you're effectively outsourcing your joy. You make something external responsible for how you feel. And when you do that over and over again, you teach your brain to rely on that external thing more and more. And meanwhile, your own internal fun-making muscles get weak until you get to a point where you're dependent on alcohol or on whatever other external stimulus you have put in charge of your own fun. But the good news is that those muscles can be strengthened again. Every time you try something new, or sit with a little awkwardness, or let yourself play even while you're sober, you're building your fun muscles. And with practice, you can strengthen your capacity to create your own fun and to entertain yourself. You can learn how to foster your curiosity and increase your capacity to be delighted. And you don't have to look very far to find proof of that. Think about when you were a kid. Before you ever tasted small batch bourbons or organic wines, and before you knew the difference between a Pinot Grigio and a Pinot Noir, you knew how to play. You knew how to make up games and follow your curiosity and how to find pleasure in the small things. That part of you still exists. We all have it. It's just that at some point as we grow up, we stop paying much attention to it. But here's my invitation to you. Reconnect with the things that you used to love. What did you enjoy before alcohol entered the picture? What did you lose track of time doing? What have you always wanted to try but never made time for? What sounds interesting or nourishing, even if it's a little bit outside of your comfort zone? Maybe it's painting. Maybe it's learning how to play the guitar, or taking a salsa class, or hiking, or baking. Maybe it's playing board games, or hosting themed dinner nights, or joining a running club. If you've been drinking to make dull things tolerable, ask yourself, what would I actually rather be doing instead? Because that's where fun lives, not in the bottom of a glass, but in your true personality and your quirks and who you are when you're not numbing or chasing a buzz. And notice too how thinking about drinking takes you out of the present moment. Let's say you're out with friends and you're focusing on what's in your glass. That means you're no longer noticing the music, the conversation, or your surroundings. You're somewhere else mentally, thinking about when you can get your next drink. One of the simplest ways to start having more fun without drinking is to practice bringing yourself back into your senses and noticing what else is happening around you in the present moment. What can you see? What can you smell, taste? What can you hear? What else can you find that is pleasant about this moment besides what's in your glass? And last but not least, when we talk about fun, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but I want you to think about the cost of the kind of fun that alcohol offers you. Yes, alcohol delivers a quick hit of dopamine, but there's often a price to pay for that. Maybe that price is fuzzy memory or hangover. Maybe it's saying something you regret. Maybe it's waking up tired and skipping the expensive gym class that you were actually excited about. Or maybe it's the shame you feel when your kid doesn't want to give you a hug goodnight because you smelled funny when you got home from happy hour. Is the short-lived artificial fun you get from a few drinks worth that kind of price? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe you're okay with the consequences of your drinking. I won't ever tell you that you should quit drinking because I know that my choices don't work for everyone. You get to make your own choices. That's the beauty of having free will. All I want for you is to be happy with your choices and to feel good about your reasons for choosing to drink. And even if right now you're okay with turning to alcohol to help you enjoy yourself more, please indulge me as I open the door wider on what's possible without drinking. What if you could learn how to create the kind of fun that doesn't come with mood swings and a hangover? What if you could have the kind of fun that leaves you energized rather than depleted? What if you could feel genuine joy and remember it the next day too? Imagine a version of you who doesn't have to think about whether there's wine at the party. A version of you who can dance or laugh or tell stories and remember them the next day. And a version of you who can go home with energy left over. That's real freedom. That's what I have right now. Me, who was afraid that I would be doomed to a life of boredom if I quit drinking. And instead, I now create my own fun without worrying if there's an open bar wherever I'm going. I may be biased in my own experience, but I believe that's the kind of fun that's worth investing in. And that's what I help my clients to create. Because when you know yourself and you know your likes and dislikes, and you have confidence that doesn't rely on a bottle, it's a lot easier to create your own joy and not rely on a substance to do that for you. If this episode got you thinking about your own relationship with alcohol, if you're starting to wonder what else you could enjoy and who you could become without relying on a drink to have fun, I have a free resource that can help you. It's called 7 Steps to Kickstart Your Sobriety, and it will help you to take the very first steps towards drinking less or towards quitting entirely, with more self-compassion and without the pressure to be perfect. You can get it for free at the link in the show notes. And remember that you don't have to figure this out alone. And you don't have to give up joy or fun in order to drink less. In fact, you might just discover that the best parts of you, the most alive, confident, creative, funny parts, were there all along, waiting for you to stop numbing them. That's honestly been my own experience, and I would love to help you create that for yourself too. I'm here when you're ready. And in the meantime, take good care, and I'll talk to you next week. If you're looking for practical advice for how to say no to alcohol and say yes to yourself, you will want to get on my email list. Sign up to receive my free guide with 7 steps to kickstart your sobriety. The link is in the show notes, so go and grab it now, and I'll see you soon in your inbox.